All right. Welcome. It's robust RB season. We've converted. We've played the long game all summer and all draft season. Destroying underdog ADPs and making everyone take 6 wide receivers in the first 6 rounds. Henry Ruggs is like an 8th round pick. We've ruined underdog, and now we're pivoting. It's pivot time to robust RB. I drafted a DraftKings team that was a fun bit this morning with 4 straight running back start to see if we can get the people fired up. It's a lot of fun. But seriously, I did post a tweet this morning that I think was relevant. And really, it's just like, the wide receiver running back bit is funny, and I have my preference on like how I think I would attack each side. I've actually posted those at spikeweek.com under the draft guides, kind of an overall macro strategy to each site. But like the whole point of all this strategy stuff and this nonsense that is going on across this space is that we're just trying to build teams that take advantage basically of the chaos of an NFL season. And there's a ton of different ways to do that, right? And build a team that has the upside mostly through structure. Exactly, Justin. I just did this. I've converted. It's all I do is draft running backs now. If you don't, it's like I've said, if you don't have 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds, it's over. Why are you playing? But seriously, the real point is just that we're building, essentially fragile teams in different structures that take advantage of the variance of an NFL season and the chaos of an NFL season to catapult us up to the top of these absurdly massive tournaments. And where we lack quality, quote unquote quality compared to our opponents at a certain position, we stockpile quantity, right? That could be any position. Didn't get one of the elite tight ends. People will take 3. Sometimes I will take 3. Oh man, DraftKings, this happens more often than other sites. I got ran out of quarterback. It's like, my QB1 is Zach Wilson or Sam Darnold or something, which sometimes happens on DraftKings. Like, well, now let's take 3. But it's the same thing with a hyper fragile, robust RB, whatever. They're making up for that structure. The people that really truly believe in that structure, and I mean, I believe in it too. I believe it can work. Are making up for the lack of quality you have at wide receiver. Right, your wide receiver 3 is horrible compared to your opponents, and compared to we were talking about this a little bit with a different subject, but there's 13,000 leagues in Best Ball Mania 2 as an example. 13,000 drafts, so 13,000 12-man leagues. And everybody has all the guys that you drafted, basically. So like how, you want to win more often through this structure and let the variance, play out, but you can do that in a myriad of different ways. Could be a bunch of early running backs. It could be no early running backs and getting, Darrell Henderson is the easy example that has already happened. But if that's going to happen again, somebody else is going to get hurt, right? Saquon got hurt last year. CMC got hurt last year. James Robinson came out of nowhere. That's going to happen. On the flip side, Chase Claypool, this year's version of Chase Claypool is going to happen. This year's version of Justin Jefferson, this year's version of T. Higgins is going to happen, et cetera, right? All these things are going to happen, and you're just trying to build teams that make sense. And sometimes that is early running backs. Sometimes it's kind of, you don't want a middle, but I think you can sort of split the middle a little bit sometimes, like, starting these hyper fragile builds a little bit differently. The overwhelming majority of hyper fragile teams are starting RB or RB wide receiver RB or whatever, and building different structures. And the same thing can be said for like single elite, start it with Swift, start it with Henderson, start it with ETN, whatever. There's just all these different things that we can do. And we're all doing the same thing. It's just there's this like rift between wide receiver people and running back people. And so now I've converted. I'm no longer a wide receiver person. All these stupid wide receiver people that have fell for this long con throughout the entire summer, I'm just going to beat them with my Quez Watkins and my Sterling Shepard and my Colin Johnson. I've got my late round wide receivers I like now, so I'm just going to win. I'm just going to win right now. Okay, so anyway, Thursdays are for drafting. I've bullshitted enough. Thursdays are for drafting. I'm gonna draft. I haven't been as much on Underdog, and I only have a couple of bullets into the Puppy 3. And so what I want to do, instead of bringing on a guest, I thought the happy hour went really well yesterday, and it was kind of a fun collaborative discussion. And so I want to kind of take a similar approach to a Puppy 3 draft and hop into a Puppy 3 draft. And, as picks approach, if you guys have guys you like or guys you think would make sense in the structure, or guys you want to see me take, I'm open to taking guys that I wouldn't even normally take, but kind of see if we can get some feedback from the chat. And I need to pull up the Discord too, just to make sure that in case anybody is in there as well. So let me share my screen and we can get into one of these. And like I said, Puppy, if you wanna draft along as well, we can get into a Puppy 3. Yeah, I haven't been on Underdog much, so I'm sure. Solid consolation, Willis. 6 spots in this Puppy 3. If anybody want 3 spots, solid consolation, Willis, I would say. Quick on the trigger finger, but it led you to the Influencer 101. All right, we're full. Let's see where we're drafting. It's a good day. Also got the 101. Always a good day when you get the 101. Somebody mentioned, I did want to pull up this comment. So he's starting. At least you didn't take the 101 in this one. Very. I think I ran really pure early in the year, or early in the draft season, on CMC, on drawing the 101, and even Dalvin teams too. I was above expectation on those guys, and I have since been getting wrecked. I think I'm about right at expectation now, around 8% of both of those guys. Okay, if you're, I'm taking CMC. If your feedback is not to take CMC, you're going to get booted. So we're obviously starting CMC, so we can talk about the 2-3 turn Waller. Waller is the first recommendation at the 2-3 turn. The good thing about the 2-3 turn is, it opens up so many opportunities. I think the most unique thing at the 2-3 turn is a lot of people will build, RB teams that I see from there, or at least take another one of those running backs because they feel really nice right there, whether it's Najee or Mixon or CEH or whatever. That are right there, but that almost. Yeah, this is the same thing for me. I was probably up, maybe not quite to 15%, but I was fairly high on my CMC exposure, and that felt really fun. And I can't. I mean, I obviously have the 101 here. I can't remember the last time I got the 101. Yeah, I like this. I couldn't possibly agree more. And the more the draft season has gone on, this is I've believed in this. When you think about what has happened over the course of this entire draft season, is so many of the same type builds at the 101, 102, even maybe 103 where people were taking a lot of Henry, but there's a little more variance there. But it's like everybody has the same combinations of CMC teams, right? So, whether it Waller or Kittle or those handful of running backs that are always there, or even I guess CD a little bit more now. Keenan, Justin Jefferson, all those guys, like you said, are on tons of CMC teams. So, you don't need to go crazy taking massive reaches, but mixing up that texture a little bit there. So, who's to say that A-Rob isn't the guy you need, like you said? Whoever just mentioned that. Oh, yeah, you did. McLaurin. Trying to think. I don't think I want to go as far as like the Rams guys, but like it does at least start to become an interesting discussion, because who's to say in the playoffs or in week 17 or whatever, if CMC is the guy that you need, but using the Cooper Kupp example or your A-Rob example, who's to say that A-Rob isn't the guy that scores 3 touchdowns in week 17? And it's like, you're the only CMC team with A-Rob, because just nobody did that, right? They just took the best available player every time. I think this is okay. I'm far more like I'm taking Dalvin at 102. I just think that's what we should optimally be doing. But I'm far more comfortable being underweight Dalvin than being underweight CMC. That's for sure. Let's see. All right, we're closing in. We've got Waller recommendations. We've got McLaurin. We've got A-Rob. Well, we'll see. Who's available. But if you have any other kind of, I like the different texture idea, so maybe that's something we can look at. Trying to look through some comments. Yeah. But like to that point, not getting it much, I would feel really bad if my overall, if you draft 150 teams, or if you however many you draft, however many you do, right? I'm doing 150, or maybe not in the puppy 3, but overall, right, over my entire portfolio. If I'm, if I don't get the 101 as many times as I should, I feel a lot worse about it than the 102. Like, I want Dalvin, but I'm not like going to be upset going into the season if I'm underweight Dalvin. Yeah, very, very, very few. It's definitely gross, but it's at least interesting. Let's see what we got here. There goes Waller. So normally this would be just like smash either CH, CD, Keenan, Kittle. I like that. I really like this McLaurin and A-Rob idea. You guys are mentioning like some different texture stuff. I like this. I definitely do not like these guys more than who is available there on the board, but like that's what all my CMC teams look like. These top 4 guys basically. Unless somebody else falls, but some combination of. And even like I think the Dallas thing, I did some of the Dallas before CD shot through the roof and before it became a little bit more like it's not common, but people will take like CD and Amari there. And I did that a couple times on CMC teams once I realized it. But now CD's like a pretty common 2-3 turn pick. Before he wasn't. Right. And this is interesting because I'm probably not gonna get one of the elite tight ends unless Pitts falls back and you guys like Pitts. Probably also not Andrews or Hawkinson. So that sets you up, having these two is a natural transition to using Logan Thomas in a Fitz McLaurin stack, or using Cole Kmet in a Fields A-Rob stack. So I really like that. And like was said here, I mean, how many times is that going to be done with the CMC team? Probably not very much. I'm double checking something. And Washington gets Philly, Dallas, Philly in the playoffs. I should know the Washington one off the top of my head. I probably did. And then Chicago's got Seattle and the Giants and Minnesota. Okay. This is true. He's dehydrated. Guy needs some pickle juice. Guy just needs pickle juice. If I were just doing a handful of teams, like say even 10 to 20, I'm not sure. I would just probably take my favorite guys and the optimal guys, the guys I think are the best bets. Whether you like CD or CEH or the tight ends or Keenan or whatever, I would just be taking those guys there if I was just doing a small number. I mean, you want to build the best teams. It's not like you can't diversify a CMC team beyond the 2-3 turn. Of course you can. But when you start to get, let's just say you roughly you have 10% CMC in 150 teams, I would start to diversify. I don't want all of those teams to look the exact same. So I would definitely start diversifying across my 15 CMC teams. Because you also think about there's 13,000 CMC teams in this tournament. and such a huge portion of them have the exact same combinations of 4 to 5 players right there at that turn every once in a while, but that was why, like when Devontae was falling, when Aaron Jones was falling, those were really good, really nice picks when they would fall on a CMC team, because now we've seen, that those combinations aren't possible either. It's like, I think I talked with the NBC Sports Edge guys earlier this week, and they talked about Herzig has like Aaron Jones CMC teams or team, which is sick because how often has that combination? Like I have a Devontae CMC team. And it's like, you're just never going to get that again. So that's nice. All right. 4-5 turn incoming. Put the star on Damien. I'm not putting Damien in the queue yet. Have some patience. The last thing I want to do is time out and take that. There's a unique build, 4th round Damian Williams. That would be unique. All right. You guys are definitely making it a wide receiver room, I see. DJ Moore at the 4-6 is nice. Cup at the 4-5. Pitts went. Yeah, it looks fairly normal. Wow, Kittle at 3-8. Kittle at 3-8. All right, three picks away. Somebody shoot me something. Looking at who's on the board here. Henderson, Ayuk, Chase, Higgins, Deontay, Claypool, Sanders, Josh Allen, Kyler, Etienne. Oh, yeah, baby. Definitely. I try to. Not necessarily like completely go out of my way, but I definitely have a focus on trying to add in at least some week 17 correlation or build it. I want to make sure I have some of those teams. Yeah, we'll see what happens here with this pick, but I think that would be pretty. I think that would be pretty unique, honestly, with the ADPs of those guys. Jeffro. I don't know if you're in here. I hope not. You're about to time out and take Chase. Damn it. I kind of think. What do you guys? I kind of think Higgins probably needs to be a pick here. Like he's risen up so much that I don't know how many times Higgins is falling. I'm gonna star Higgins. Well, let's take Higgins. And then I would definitely take another wide receiver here, probably. I'm not a Miles Sanders guy. Yeah, I'm also not a huge Deontay guy. What do you guys think about ETN? Let's do ETN. Yeah. Judy was a good call too. ETN was a good recommendation. Not that he's not on CMC teams; he's probably on some CMC teams, but I'm not entirely sure how much. And what I like about ETN there, Boom is right. What I like about ETN there is, I still have 3 wide receivers. I obviously have CMC. It opens me up to 4 running back teams with CMC, which is really nice. Oh yeah, sorry. So we started CMC at the 101. At the 2-3 turn, we went for a little bit different texture here with McLaurin and A-Rob. With McLaurin and A-Rob to get, CD was on the board, Kittle was on the board, Keenan was on the board, and CEH was on the board. So everybody's taking 2 of those guys pretty much. Nobody's taking this combination of McLaurin and A-Rob. And then Higgins falls, to the 4-5 turn, which I think is pretty rare, actually. That does not happen very often, at least not anymore, on Underdog. So scooping that up and then going with ETN to really jam in some upside at running back. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing about ETN. I know ETN is kind of an upside bet, right? You're kind of hope, we don't think he's going to have like this crazy like workhorse role or anything like. I mean, he might not ever get a true workhorse role, but what we kind of want him to become is like Alvin Kamara, I guess Austin Eckler type guy throughout the course of the season to kind of flash the league winning upside. But he is going to have a role catching passes, which inherently brings you a floor early in the season, which is why I'm open to him, especially with CMC in four running back teams. Yeah, I don't love Deontay. I don't have a ton of like strong conviction on why. It has a lot more to do with Chase Claypool is just like this breakout archetype of a player. And Deontay is like this, he's definitely very good at getting open and drawing targets, which is obviously a skill. We know that's a skill. That's the big thing going around, right? Drawing targets is a skill. But I'm not certain that Deontay has like a lot of room to grow. Like I don't, I'm not trying to be a sizist, but like a smaller guy, not really a big burner. He's pretty good after the catch and good at drawing, short to intermediate targets, which is nice. But I would rather target the guy that like, I think Chase Claypool is the archetype of a player that can like become, a second round pick next year. Like he also drew targets on a per route basis at an elite level. And he's the guy that, lifts the lid on that offense. He's built like a Greek god, and he runs a 4-3 or whatever, he's just this freak of a man. And I would kind of rather bet on that type of player personally. And Juju's okay. Yeah. It's Deontay's fine. I just I think Claypool has a little bit more upside, even though Deontay's floor might be a little bit higher. I do like Judy. Judy was a guy I was drafting a lot early in the draft season. Like he was in like the 7th round, and then I kind of backed off because I was like, I'm just betting a little bit too much on this guy's talent. And there are reasons to be concerned, obviously, with the quarterback play, with the competition he has across the entire offense. All right, let's see what we got here. Tyler Boyd, Sutton, AB, Sermon, Visca. Please don't say Gaskin. I don't want to take Gaskin on this team. Mike Williams, Gallup. There's your Juju. So we got a lot of options here coming up in 3 picks. There's 2 that stand out. 2 that really stand out to me. We'll see if you guys think the same. Let's see if Jeff Rowe does it to us again and takes. Yeah. That's the good. Damn it, Boyd. I just can't get the Bengals. Okay, Gallup. That's a good. I like the Gallup recommendation. And Sermon goes. Visca. All right, I'm taking Visca. Visca and Gallup were the first two mentioned. This is interesting, but I think the really big perk of Visca is having ETN. It sets you up again for another stack. And who mentioned Gallup? Hectic Eclectic mentions Gallup. So let's take Gallup, and we get a little bit of Dallas exposure. Now we're looking pretty good. CMC, obviously, anchor CMC still set up for 4. No, not worried. I don't think it changes. I think Marvin Jones being good, Marvin Jones doing what Marvin Jones does best, and being this kind of down the field flyer that helps take the top off the defense and being solid is like really, really good for Visca. And it's good for the offense. We want the offense to be good. And so I think Marvin Jones helps there. Marvin Jones is, some of that. I just watched Ship Chasing, and they're really, really out on Marvin Jones. But I think more from a seasonal perspective. I actually agree. Like in FFPC managed leagues, I'm not really on Marvin Jones, but in best ball, like in a Jag stack, like Marvin Jones can absolutely be, he's not a guy where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm targeting this breakout, but he is a guy in best ball where, like, if I'm betting on the Jags, Marvin Jones absolutely could be the guy that has 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in a meaningful week, Mike Williams, yeah. Mike Williams has been a roller coaster of an offseason. Like, I was on him really early. He went way later than this. Like, now he's like an early 7th round pick, way, way later than this early in the offseason. So I was trying to scoop him because I like, there's clearly reasons to believe in Mike Williams. Then we got all the hype. Mike Williams is in the Michael Thomas role. The coach saying he's going to have a big year, whatever, lots of hype. And now we've kind of backed off a little bit. So that has been able to get me to get my requisite amount of Mike Williams exposure, which he's just a guy I want to kind of be like, so match the field. Which earlier in the year, I was like, Mike Williams is kind of a core guy when he was going, I don't know, 9th round, 10th round, Mike Williams. Now in the 7th round, I like a lot of those other guys just about as much. This was a comment. I totally agree. I love, and even if you don't get Marvin in a Lawrence stack, it's totally fine. But I think ETN and Visca are just these crazy upside guys. And with ETN's pass catching, it's an awesome stack with Lawrence. And so that's nice about this team is, you have a Jacksonville, you can stack Jacksonville, and their quarterback is fairly affordable, and they have other options to latch on with Marvin Jones and Colin Johnson in the last, in one of the last rounds. But we also, have Washington fallback. We have Justin Fields fallback. If we want to take Burrow, you can take Burrow, right? It's nice. I like this. If you absolutely get backed into it and you need Darnold to go with CMC, maybe you get Terrace Marshall or something. There's a lot of options, which is nice. I really hate when you get backed into the corner on your stacks, or I'm definitely open to backdooring my stacks. I do it plenty, but my preference would be to just have all these potential options of stacks built in and not corner myself into anybody, because then you get run. If you go all in, that's like Dallas, right? If I take Amari and CD, I would really like to have Dak, but what happens if you get run out of Dak? Now you don't have other stacks set up, right? This galaxy brain thought you're constantly having throughout the draft. Yeah, I think this is a fair point on Marvin. He just has these games, and then he has other games where he totally disappears. And really, it's not particularly easy to predict him. But in best ball, that's fine. I want to capitalize on those weeks where he does have those ceiling games, and I feel fairly confident that that's going to happen. And I think he might be a little bit better this year. I don't really know that. I think the offense is better than what he was playing in Detroit. All right, we're coming up in 4 picks. 4 picks. I think there's another couple of nice options here that go well with some of the guys that we have. So there goes Mooney. But Mecole, this is good value on Hardman. You have Samuel that pairs well. You have Logan Thomas that pairs well. I was going to mention Waddle because I'm really high on Waddle, and Waddle also sets you up for potential Tua stacks. You have Hollywood with all these freaking Ravens receivers going down, and then you obviously have AJ Dillon, who could really be a nice addition to a 4 RB team. This could really make this team really, really strong from a 4 RB perspective. So let's hear it. Who you guys got? Dillon, Hardman, Thomas, Hollywood, Corey Davis. Obviously, Marvin. This would be a bit of a reach on Marvin. Dillon. All right. AJ Dillon. Now I definitely want to be 4 RB, so that's nice. Same buy for CMC and Dillon, so that's okay. Hollywood. Prefer Hollywood or Logan Thomas to add on to Washington? I'm overriding you on Hollywood. There was no conviction. All right, there's LT3. Now, good, we're on board. Sorry, Hero. You got overridden by Willis and Jay Wyke. I like it. All right, so let's look at the team. Obviously started CMC out of the 101. Have ETN and AJ Dillon, two my favorite upside backs. Sets you up for a really fun, hyper fragile team, I think, because those guys can, like, even if they don't, right, even if Aaron Jones doesn't go down, even if James Robinson still has his James Robinson role, like ETN and Dillon can be fine at your RB2 spot. And now we've got Logan that allows us to just go 2 tight ends. He obviously correlates with McLaurin and sets us up for the Washington stack, and still 5 really good wide receivers. And now we can still draft 10. 10 wide receivers. Yeah, this is fun. Yeah, I know, because most people don't. I almost forgot I had Terry because nobody ever has CMC with McLaurin. Yeah, James Robinson is a funny one where I think he was a pretty horrible pick, relatively speaking, at cost early in the draft season. Probably a bit overvalued. And now he's one of the guys that's falling and falling and falling. And like, I think he makes a lot of sense in a lot of different structures at his new cost, where like I clearly want to buy on ETN, just drafted him. But like, who's to say that ETN doesn't kind of always play this a little bit more gadgety type pass catching role? And James Robinson is actually a pretty good football player. He's not super explosive, but he's actually a pretty good football player on an offense we're fairly excited about. I'm pretty damn excited about Jacksonville. I posted the top stacks. I posted the top stacks earlier this week on the website, and the Jaguars are one of them. And so I'm really excited about this team. So as James Robinson starts to fall, like I had so little James Robinson before, but now we're talking, he's falling. This new value. I assume he's still on the board. No, he's gone. Sometimes falling 20, 30 picks past ADP because he's just not the sexy name at all. And he fits just about any structure, right? I mean, the flip side of like James Robinson is we've seen him be a workhorse and be a really good fantasy asset. They have ETN now, but what if ETN goes down? He's in the same range as all these guys that need a little bit, that like Dillon has a standalone role, but needs an injury to get, his contingent value. James Robinson's the same thing. What do you mean by pull? Like to see, what do you mean by pull data from Underdog? Like last year, or see your ownership. Yeah, I agree. This build has come together pretty well. Normally this doesn't happen when you stream a draft where you need to knock on wood. This has been going pretty well. Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing with the guy like James Robinson is you've been able to just scoop him up at good prices. You didn't have to like that's what happens with some guys you end up underweight on because you have to force it if you want to take them because of the range that they're in. Whereas Robinson is one of those guys that falls so much that you're able to scoop them up when it makes sense at a value. All right, 5 picks. Let me close the running backs. Let me look at the quarterbacks really fast. Tannehill, Stafford, Burrow. Okay, everybody is available at Fields past Lawrence and ADP. Told you I haven't been drafting on Underdog a ton, so that's kind of shocking. So we have multiple quarterback options here. I don't know if we love the available running backs, although there's a couple that probably fit the structure. Good wide receivers. Still, we're definitely about to hit a tier break at wide receiver, and I like Tunyon fine too at tight end. What do you guys think? There goes Terrace. What do you got? I think we got to take. Oh man, do we need Lawrence? Is probably not coming back, right? So we probably got to take Lawrence. I know he's a little bit further down the list, but I feel like we probably got to take Lawrence here. I'm kind of okay passing on. Let's pop Lawrence in. What do you think besides Lawrence? Tunyon, and we can close out tight end and just smash some wide receivers. Or Gus. Yeah, T-Law. Need to reach, but yep, gotta do it. Gotta take him. I kind of like Tunyon here. What do you guys think about Tunyon? Get a little bit of ADP value on Tunyon. Not a wide receiver that I feel is super necessary, and not a running back I feel is super necessary. Let's do that. So now definitely two tight ends, and we're going to smash some wide receivers and close out a stack. Second stack, whether it's with Fitz. I don't think Fields is going to fall. Or we backdoor. Yeah, that's it. When you draft Logan, I kind of don't necessarily love investing another one there, but I do like I'm actually pretty bullish on Tunyon. I was really out kind of early in the draft season, but I think he's actually become a pretty good value. That's what I mean. Tunyon isn't going to be the tight end one, but people kind of forget that we were, including me, sick fish, just a total dunce that I was drafting Jay Sternberger last year because we didn't really know that Tunyon was the guy. We were actually betting on, a lot of people were betting on Jay Sternberger to take that role, and Tunyon just stole that job. But it took a little while for him to steal that job. He's actually still undervalued based on Ben Gretsch says this all the time. Tunyon is still being drafted lower at the tight end position, even than he just ran by yards and catches last year. Now he saw the boon to his value because of all the touchdowns, and we're definitely expecting some regression there. But we also know that the upside exists there, right? Rodgers is back for one more rodeo. We know they're going to be a high scoring offense. And this was another thing that I was thinking is I like Logan Thomas and I like Robert Tunyon, but I'm typically drafting them as okay, they're my tight end one, and now I'm taking a later guy, right? Komet or Hunter Henry or whatever. But once it kind of looked like okay, the field stack isn't happening, I didn't, I was more open to Tunyon at a decent value, right? Like 10 picks after what is he? 8 picks after ADP, a little bit of a round drop for Tunyon. Yeah, exactly. We didn't know anything about Tunyon. And then Tunyon just emerged as, the second best option in the Green Bay offense. Yeah, I think this is probably what I believe too. That's probably how I would classify tight end too. And I think that the true optimal is one of the elites with a punt. Just because, like, I don't think Logan Thomas and Tunyon have that upside, but getting them and like you're betting on Logan Thomas and Tunyon kind of exceeding value, right? Basically being Logan Thomas and Robert Tunyon from last year, where they're definitely not Kelsey, but the combination of those two guys is giving you really solid scores at tight end every single week, and then you just need the Kelseys to regress a little bit back to the mean, and now you actually are scoring a ton of points relative to the field at tight end overall. And again, the structural advantage. Not that you can't take only two I think I still would take only two when I have Logan Thomas or Tunyon as my tight end one, but I would this feels pretty nice. And it's also like just taking the draft as you go, right? Like, I wasn't like targeting Tunyon there, but he fell a little bit. It was kind of a weird pocket of the draft where, this is definitely not a quarterback room, so I needed to take Lawrence to fill out that stack, but like the quarterbacks were, really, like there was a ton of quarterbacks there, so I didn't really want to double dip. It's kind of a weird pocket of the draft. Yeah, good question. I get this question a fair bit. I push it a lot further than other people do because I just like the structural advantage of two tight ends. It's like even if I have like Hunter Henry and Cole Kmet, I'm cool having those two. But when we start to get into maybe Ferkser and Jarwin and those kind of guys, that's when I want three. But I'm actually pretty cool getting a little bit to it, just using two of the later round guys. It's lower probability, but if you find Logan Thomas from last year, right? If Cole Kmet is Logan Thomas from last year or Tunyon or whatever, I would like to be able to leverage that and use that last roster spot on one of the other positions. All right. And the Latavius slide is pretty nice. Drake sliding. Yeah, I like Parham too. I hope it's not too light because I've been doing some of that. Parham, Mo Alley Cox, OJ Howard. Is Juwan Johnson a tight end on I really want to start taking some Juwan Johnson. So I'm assuming he's a wide receiver. I don't want to mess around here. Yeah, wide receiver. If Juwan Johnson, Underdog, if you're listening, move Juwan Johnson to tight end. Don't worry about it. He hasn't been drafted. The people need it. All right, Jacoby Myers is pretty interesting here. Let's see what quarterback looks like. Yeah, we're in this funny spot where, you're not getting the ADP value on these quarterbacks, but I feel like might be what we have to do to close out our two stats. Jacob Harris too. Yeah, Jacob Harris. All right. So you guys have I'm going to add some guys to the queue here. Latavius, Jacoby. God, there's a lot of tight ends. And Fitz, I think Jacoby's a pretty big tier break. Latavius is probably a tier break at running back too. What do you guys think about these three between Latavius, Jacoby Myers, and Ryan Fitzpatrick? I kind of think we have to take Fitz, even though it's a little early for Fitz, but I'm going to do that. Oh shit. Okay, we just took Latavius, and then I'm going to take Fitz. I really like Jacoby Myers. I probably prefer Jacoby Myers to Latavius, but now we got our 4 RBs, and it's wide receiver time. Got the stacks rounded out. Lawrence to ETN and Visca. Fitz to McLaurin and Logan. Yeah, that's another thing. Is Latavia was one of my highest owned players for the majority of early draft season because he was fairly cheap, and then he got a pretty decent rise up the boards as people started to target him in the same tier around, not quite Pollard, but just after Pollard or whatever. And now there's this exactly run the bases. Some of these reports that like it was, and no one said like Latavius is going to get cut. There just happened to be. It felt kind of like the Melvin Gordon thing, where people are like, oh, I could see that he could get cut, right? He makes X amount of dollars and they can cut him risk-free. And so people were like, oh, he's a veteran and they have another back, so why don't they cut him? But like Nick Underhill, who's, you know, the super plugged in Saints beat, literally just came out and said like Latavius is going to be the number 2 back. And so it was like some speculation based on literally nothing. And to this point, they're not strapped for cash. What Underhill, they have, he either said it was 9 or like 11 million. They have cap room. So like they could cut Latavius and get more cap room. But his point was they have enough cap room. If they want to do something, they can do something. They're not hurting for cap if they need to make a move. And so I'm not even sure that that's that much of an issue, at least based on what Underhill is saying. And so I'm going to take advantage of this Latavius. And like the other thing about Latavius is I'm not trying to compare him to Leonard Fournette, but like we didn't know that Fournette was going to get cut, but he was also kind of being speculated as a potential cut last year. And like guys like that are gonna get picked up somewhere else. So it's not like this isn't like drafting an 18th round running back that you don't know if he's going to make the team. You know, even if Latavius were to get cut, I feel fairly confident that he would latch on somewhere else and at least have like some form of a role, that he's not like a total wasted pick. We would prefer him in New Orleans because we know what the contingent value is if Kamara were to go down. But like, I don't think it's that. I don't think there's a ton of risk. People are just scared of the unknown. Yeah, I mean, that's not ridiculous. Guys like that on the Rams, the probably not the Dolphins, but you know, teams like that. So yeah, I'm buying Latavius, and because of it, like he's just falling like crazy. All right, so we are at 2-4-5-2, and it's wide receiver time. Seahawks, yeah, Seahawks is another potential example. You know, Penny's never going to be healthy. I mean, he's better than Alex Collins. I know Latavius is old, but he's better than Alex Collins and possibly better than DJ Dallas and such. There's just a lot of teams that would like, you know, say whatever we want about Latavius Murray. There's a lot of NFL teams that would be more than happy to scoop up Latavius Murray if he were to get cut. So I'm not worried about it. I hope he doesn't get cut though. All right, only wide receivers from here on out, gents. So you tell me who you're liking. There's a couple of guys that are going to make a ton of sense for us given the team that we have with Lawrence to Etienne, going over it again. Lawrence to Etienne and Visca, Fitzmagic to Logan and McLaurin. 4 running backs. We're done with CMC, Etienne, Dylan, and Latavius, and it's still a solid top 5 wide receivers. And now we can take advantage of some hyper fragile benefits here. We'll see what these folks do. A lot of other wide receiver needy teams, it looks like. 2-5-5-1, 1-4-7, 2-5-5-1. Yeah, agree, hectic. We'll see if that works out for us. Totally agree with that point. I'm not going to pull it up in case anyone else is one of these 3 picks. One of these get 3 guys are in the chat. I'm not going to pull it up. Yeah, that's also a good point. I will bring him up because I was taking him a little bit as a later round flyer early in the offseason. I really backed off and was taking some other guys. And it's just hype. It's just camp hype, right? But it is always at least nice to know. It's like, you know, using frickin' Antonio Gibson thing again. Like, it probably doesn't matter. Like even this hype for MVS probably doesn't matter. But it would be a perk if like we saw Antonio Gibson playing third downs. Same thing. It probably doesn't matter for MVS's hype. This hype might mean nothing. But it's not a bad thing that he's flashing at camp and people are saying that he looks much better this year. So, woot. All right. Diami and MVS. That's what we're thinking. Diami and MVS. I like this. And, the other thing, what's really nice that I didn't even realize before you said it about MVS is we have Tunyon, and Dylan, which gives us a nice little Packers stack here, and a Packers stack that is got all these guys got some contingent value if something were to happen. Aaron Jones goes down, Devontae goes down. I think these guys are all fine picks in a vacuum, but they're also got a little bit of contingent value, and it gives you, just that secondary stack. Like, you don't need Rodgers, and we still have this Packers stack, which is a nice team to have stacked up, right? So you have a Jacksonville stack, you have a Washington stack, and you have this Packers stack here. So that's nice. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice. This is absurd, by the way. Like, Himmler was a great pick. He was probably the best late round wide receiver pick, period. Like he was a great pick beforehand. Like, the kid is a baller. He's a stud at Penn State. If you play college football DFS, just an absolute baller. If you just watch college football, KJ Himmler can play. He's a really good player, has a lot of the metrics and analytics that back up him as a potential breakout type guy. He was just a good pick, period, before all of this. And then he catches one long touchdown in the preseason. It's like, oh, now he's a 14th round pick. Before, he was an 18th round pick. Like, nothing changed. He was the same. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's funny. Almost got to you, Willis. I don't know, but there's a certain influencer that probably should start one. Yeah, I like Djax too. Djax is the guy that's just never gonna. I guess he's gotten bumped up a little bit. Like, I was getting 18th round Djax, but he's just gotten kind of a natural bump from the wide receivers, I think. But nothing super crazy. And I think Djax is like, he's gonna have weak. Like, he's not gonna be, he's not gonna be a guy that just crazy exceeds value, right? He's not Justin Jefferson, but I think he's gonna have. I would be mixing him into especially builds like this where, like, he also could just be the third wide receiver. I know we're talking about a rotation and he's older and blah, 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 but he's also one of the most efficient wide receivers in the history of the NFL. I don't think Deshaun Jackson gets enough credit for exactly how good he is at the game and the impact he has on the offenses. Now, he needs to stay healthy, and that's a concern because of his age and whatever. But, like, I don't think he gets enough credit. And it's like, we've done this thing for multiple years now of Deshaun Jackson, and he was a much higher pick in fantasy drafts for multiple years now. And now we changed teams, and, we're not sure, exactly how many snaps he's going to play. So it's like, we're out on this guy. When, like, he is, dare I say, the perfect best ball pick. That's a good idea. I can get a new green screen. Maybe if I can bring Peter on one of these shows, I'll get a new green screen background. Let's see. All right, 9 picks, and we just got to keep hammering wide receivers. Yeah, right. Darius Hayward-Bay, John Ross. Yeah, I was not particularly on McKinnon early, but I do still think he can play a little bit. And I think I should have given him a little credit for maybe how much more easily he could pass Darrell Williams on the depth chart than I was probably considering early on. So I like Mixon and McKinnon at the end of drafts. He fits all he doesn't fit like a 4 RB team, I don't think, but he fits quite a few builds, I think. I mean, what happens if something happens to CEH? Yeah, DPJ is another hype machine. It's crazy. Just whatever late round wide receiver gets helium, whether he's just getting hype, right? DPJ is getting hype. Obviously, Hamler caught the long touchdown. And I'm trying to think of who some of the other late round. Josh Palmer's rising up now, right? He's getting the hype. Quez is funny. I actually like Quez, but he's funny. Yeah, it's just Sammy's gone. And he's probably better than Demarcus Robinson. He might be better than McCole Hardman. It's just taking shots on that situation, I think. Nothing super special. It's just the Chiefs offense. You know what I mean? All right. Djax, Pringle. I don't think we want to do Lazard, Palmer, Quez, Nico. Who do you guys like here? Oh, there goes Djax. Let's take a look. I think who makes the most sense on this team? Who makes the most sense? I am going to star Slayton because they play. He's a little bit of correlation there with our Washington guys. Haha. There you go. Quez and Slayton. Very good call. Very good call, Travis. Add in some correlation for our guys. Yep, I like Slayton as a late round guy. I like Slayton as a late round guy. I kind of feel like I don't totally know why he has fallen. I guess Tony, people are hyped on Tony, but even then, to your point, like Kenny Galladay's already hurt. Kenny Galladay continues to get hurt, and Slayton's like any other deep down the field guy that he's going to have. I feel fairly confident Slayton's probably going to catch a couple long touchdowns. And Slayton was like fairly valuable in this offense in the past. Oh yeah, I agree. I'm not particularly bullish on the Philly offense, but they do have some nice pieces, and I think that there's upside if the offense is better than we think that it is. Basically, if they use Hurts correctly, or if Hurts is just better and takes a nice step. I like Devonta Smith, Rager. We'll see what Rager does. Quez looks pretty good. Fulgham's a decent player. Goddard, Ertz, right? Miles Sanders, Gainwell, whatever. There's a bunch of pieces that I think are interesting for Philly, but in general, I agree. I'm not super bullish on this. This is like, yeah. So I don't really have a strong, honestly, I don't really have a strong opinion on Pringle, Demarcus Robinson, whatever. But I think having some exposure to the Chiefs guys is smart. Like, I mean, what if Tyreek goes down? Pringle probably has some value. And like was mentioned, I mean, I feel fairly confident we know what Demarcus Robinson is. I can't say for certain we know exactly what Byron Pringle is. So there's at least you can buy a little bit of uncertainty there. I don't think the guy that makes the most sense to us here as our last wide receiver is going to fall back to us, but we'll see. And we can take Tony and just win the Giants scrubby wide receiver room. Kind of surprised Palmer. I like Eskridge too. Yeah, zip it, guys. We got 8 picks. There's a very clear pick. Willis. Don't do it. Don't be that guy. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't gotten. Can someone explain to me why Colin Johnson hasn't gotten more helium in these drafts? It's like everybody who gets hype. Yeah. Freaking Willis. Everybody who gets hype in camp or flashes in the preseason One of the two. Doesn't even have to be both. Everybody who gets hype. Yeah, I'll get to that, Fred. It like gets, oh baby, someone else is going to take him now. You know, someone else is going to take him now. Anybody who gets some sort of hype or has like a role that we didn't expect is shooting way up, right? Sometimes it doesn't even make sense why they're shooting way up. Like the hype could be nonsense or the role could be nonsense. But this guy, it makes all the sense in the world why he should be shooting up, and you can still get him in the 18th round. It's weird to me. There's a few. There's more options in case something doesn't work out for us. This one I think is fair. Davis Maddock is on James Washington. I mean, we just saw an injury scare with Chase Claypool, and I don't think James Washington is going to play 0 snaps, even if he stays with the Steelers. I think he's more of a contingent value wide receiver, and he could get traded. He wants to get traded. I struggle to see Chris Conley because I don't see many spikes personally for a player of his caliber. I could be totally wrong. I don't see many spikes for him, and I also struggle to see, like, if I'm envisioning. All right, never mind. Hold on, I got to make sure. Boy, that worked out. Thank you, Willis. What a fun team. What a fun team. Let me just pull it up really quickly. Oh no, this puppy 3. No sauce or anything. No sauce today, but I am just going to review this team since you guys made most of the picks. Obviously, the 101 was an easy pick. Where's board? Obviously, the 101 was nope, not what I wanted to do. The 101 was an easy pick with CMC. Got a fun little. You're telling me, Willis, I was certain that even when you passed on him, that he was going to go. So this team worked out really, really well. Like I said, normally that's not going to happen. Streaming. So anyway, quick review, and then I got to run. Quick review. CMC went with a different texture route at the 2-3 turn, which I really like, which also turned into a really awesome stack with one of those guys, with McLaurin and A-Rob. Higgins falls to the 4 or 5 turn, which does not happen very often, and take ETN. ETN and Visca then set us up for this Jacksonville stack. We just take kind of Gallup, best wide receiver available at that time, AJ Dillon to set up, this super high upside, but also nice hyper fragile structure with Logan Thomas, Tunyon, close out the Jag stack. Take Latavius as the 4th running back. Again, Latavius is falling. It's pretty nice. Close out that Washington stack and hammer a bunch of pretty nice upside wide receivers, I think. And between MVS, Diami, Slayton, Quez, and Colin Johnson. That's a fun team. Thank you, guys. It's better than the teams I've been drafting. Helps to have the 101. But better than the teams that I've been drafting. Yeah, this is, that's what happens. I mean, same thing. There could have been a screaming running back value that I just couldn't take because of my structure, and that's just what happens sometimes when you're in a structure. And this doesn't happen very often, actually. Colin Johnson doesn't fall to almost undrafted, and the running backs are usually fairly decent values, but it's a little bit of a unique room. All right. Thank you, guys. This was a lot of fun. I want to try to mix some of these in even if it's kind of off schedule, mix some of these in, get you guys feedback on some of these picks. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. Tomorrow, just a quick note. Tomorrow, same time, but we're going to draft on Drafters. I don't know if you guys have been drafting on there, but it's a very unique format and a different site, different structure, different tournament structure, different team structure, a little bit different scoring than the other sites. And I think it's a fun platform. So we're going to draft on there. Same time here, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. And until then, I will catch you guys later.